morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's see if you are ready. Let's see also if you have sent me messages, questions, so that today I can solve all of your AutoCAD problems. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. Good morning. Good morning. So today, as I said, good morning. As I said last week, today I would like to make like a Q&A session, and this is the reason why I haven't replied mails that I've received yesterday. There is just one. Okay. So let's delete the useful stuff. Okay. In the meantime, good morning. Final project. Okay. First of all, if you have questions, problems, I'm just reading quickly your emails, and so that I can start answering one of you. That is Tanya. So I will open it in a second. And what kind of problem you may have, doubts, issues, if you want to send me print screenshots of your video, feel free to send me questions. Sorry. Okay, so no questions. Perfect. Let's start with okay. Okay. Just FIY. This is new to me. This is very nice. I've never seen FIY. Wait a second. FIY. For your, that's beautiful. FIY. Never seen it before. Okay, so let's, just for just for fun. So yes, I will open in any case your file, because the question you sent me by mail was extremely interesting. So I will open it in any case. Then, how to precisely fit in window. Let's try to read it again. Zarina asks, how to precisely fit in window block between two objects. Yes, for your information. Very nice. So I'm not getting what Zarina questions is about. How to precisely fit in window block between two objects. Be so nice to specify exactly what you want to do. So in the meantime, I read next one. Julia, I got a question when it comes to scale. When I have done all my walls and I want to download, for instance, windows from CAD A+, I download them, and how do I scale it so perfectly fits between my already drawn walls? Okay, let's see this one as well. Okay, let's start with these questions. First of all, let's try to solve them all. For example, I will start with downloads, Tanya. So just FIY, so for your informations, in the message, your classmate asked, I'm having hard time figuring where to cut my drawing. I don't know if it's okay to make smaller section of the house, because basically section lines must cut across the entire floor plan. If this is true, basically I see a lot of walls. What should I do? And basically see this. Look at this floor plan here. Okay, Zarina, perfect. Now I got your question, so I will solve Julia and Zarina's questions in a second. Let's see this project here first. What you can see is this. First of all, as I said, section is something that in height, it has to go from the ground till the roof. So in height, basically, your sections must cut all floors that you have into your project. And also, because when you make a section, you use a plane, it's not possible that, let's say, the top floor is cut somewhere and the ground floor is cut somewhere else. And where you place your section line in ground floor must match where section line is, in your upper floor. And also, as I said, as a rule, to make correct sections must cut as many doors and windows that you can. This was one rule. Second rule, I explained that sections cannot pass through parallel walls. So you can see here something that is very wrong in according to where the section line is placed. That is, my wall is this one, and the section line, there should be dash dot, not continuous, cannot go pass through the wall. It has to be or in front of the wall or behind the wall. So which position will be correct? This is wrong, because in here, by making the section here, I am also cutting a door. So this section here is preferred to this one that is just showing a wall. Okay? Is it possible for you to see the file that I've uploaded? Yes, but I will open it in a second. I'm just showing you which is a very common mistake and what you should avoid. So this is not just for your drawing, this is a generic problem, first of all. So instead of being here, a correct section line should be there. And then let's say your classmate wanted to see that side. That's totally fine. Okay, but for sure this position is wrong. Then if I place my section line here, that needs to perfectly match. So let's say if this distance, making an example, is 350 centimeter, I place my section line in this other floor plan, and the distance from that corner has to be exactly 350 centimeters. So the section must be like a continuous plane from roof to floor, or from roof to ground. And this is first. While this is fine, but even here, as a common mistake, then we will open final version of your classmate file. Here, this, I mean, when I was at university, if I used to do something like this, you could hear my teacher starting yelling at me, and you have no idea how many bad words he could say, because this is just a pure act of laziness. And the section here must be there, because you have to cut, you have to give informations while you are making the section, not hiding informations, because drawing things is hard. Okay, so sections must cut doors and windows, and they have to cut as many doors and windows as you can and not hide them on purpose. But your classmate wants to show us finished file, so we will open it immediately. Let's see. Okay, should be AutoCAD Homeworks. Tanya. Final project. Let's download this one, open it. So it is V6. Woo! Look at that. So let's say, as I said, now this is fine. I mean, I'm not that bad as a human being, so this section has been done, and keep it. There is only one problem. There is a very big problem. That is, you have made the section fine, so the section is correct, but where the line is placed in floor plan, it appears wrong, because in reality, look, in reality, you are clearly cutting a window here. Okay? And it is this one. Okay, sorry. No, my bad. No, that is totally fine. So I was saying, I'm not that bad as a person, because, and so keep this section as it is, just make your last one to finish it. I could show you that if, instead of having this ugly result in here, that is this kind of two walls very close together, you could simply move both section lines here, so that on the ground floor and on the top floor you were cutting just windows. Okay, but I don't fix it, so keep this section as it is, simply because fixing this section, it means that you have to redo a lot of things in here. I mean, no. So this is fine. Keep it as it is. Just add your second section. Okay? And remember, these are lines that must be in a layer that can be hatched. So you have to make a layer Yes, you will see walls, but you will see windows. So it is like you have to choose what is more important. That's fine. But look, you have to go here, and I don't know why you have made groups, so you can just delete all these groups. Delete. Okay, so you have to make a new layer that is called section lines. This layer must be with these other line type that you have already loaded. But more important, you have to move these lines from hatch to the layer that we have created that is called the section lines, so that they will be dash dot lines. Okay, so keep this section, make a second one, and then just complete your final by making layouts where you will present your final drawing in a more professional way. Okay, everything else, let me tell you, is fine beside some small mistakes. No, wait before saying okay, thank you, because I've seen another mistake in here. That is this. Look at this dimension line. This shows the distance between this corner and this corner that are correctly on the outside of your house. Then you have this dimension that is on the outside. Then this, that's fine. Then this, that is still fine. Then this, that is still fine. And I'm so proud of you. But what about this dimension? So first of all, we discover that your house is larger than 8 meters by 8 meters because you are making the interior 8 meters, while dimensions that you couldn't exceed were 8 by 8 meters. Your house is 8,600 meters large. Am I right? No, I mean, more or less. As I said, I'm not that bad as a human being, because if I tell you to make this adjustment, you should have to change everything. So I will pretend, I will cut this part of the video, and I will pretend that I haven't seen this, okay? Just for you to let you know. But in real life, I mean, this is an AutoCAD project, so I have to see if you can use AutoCAD. But believe it or not, if your property is 8 meters and you make a house that is 8.5 meters, technically you are stealing 40 centimeters from someone else's property. That is illegal, technically. Okay, so not for AutoCAD, but for your life, for your work, take care about these kind of small details. They are not that small as you may think. But by the way, last problem is, that is, the dimension line is a dimension that is about something that is happening inside the house. So placing the dimension line outside is wrong, because if I want to check what this dimension is measuring, I will see that first object my dimension will find is outer wall. And this is wrong, because as I explained when I've explained dimensions, dimensions must be on the same side where elements that you are measuring are. So this dimension must be here. That is from the corner, from inner corner to inner corner, inner side of your house. Is that clear? The reason why it has to be there or not? About the dimension placement. Is clear why it has to be here? Yes? No? Let me know. Oops. Yes, this is how it should be done, okay? Don't trust me. Perfect. So the problem 1 solved. Problem 2, Saloni asks, and then we will go to the Zarina and Giulia question in a second. But Saloni asks, I have a question about the final. Do you want just to include the AutoCAD drawings, or we should render just AutoCAD drawings? If you have read renders, is that because probably there is a review, something like that comes from the 3ds Max project, and by mistake I have left something written because I copy pasted same instructions from AutoCAD and let's say AutoCAD final project. Exactly. If I open the PDF that is here, you can see that I've written one slide present as a one slide sketches, one floor print, second floor print, first section, second section. Exactly, by mistake, because when I was writing these, I was also writing the 3ds Max project. I've simply forgot to delete 3D blocks, and I forgot to delete this line here. But we have never seen renderings logically, and here in slides that you have to present, there is not even written that you have to render, so it is clearly something that I just forgot to delete. Okay? No, you have to make AutoCAD drawings. That's it. Yes, perfect. Second problem solved. Then let's see. You're welcome, no problems. So let's see another interesting question, and this is beautiful. That is wait a second. Basically, it happens this. There are several ways to scale objects, and I want to show you this feature right now. Look, I go to CAD A+. So just go here, go to CAD A+ blocks. I select something like furniture. then beds, for example, plan, so seen from top, for example, and I download something, I don't know, very simple. Okay, I wait a couple of seconds. Now download button works. I click download, I click save, and I have downloaded the block from CAD A+. So now I go to my desktop. This is the furniture that I have. I double click to open it. Fantastic. And I have this tiny piece. Now I have two ways to manage basically the way that I can scale this object, because I can measure it and I can make several operations, and then I can find the scaling factor. I mean, it can be very tough. Or there is an interesting additional way that you can use to scale an object. So look, way number one is basically I select my object, I make it as a block, and this is always a good thing to do because maybe this is just made with a lot of small pieces. So I create this as a block, call it bed. Perfect. So way number one that I have is I can, and this is always fine, I can take one dimension, this one, and for example, from CAD A+, I need to know that all blocks are made in meters. So this makes your life easier, because if you are working in centimeters, you just need to scale this 100, or if you're working in millimeters, you have to scale this 8,000, or if you're working in meters, you have to keep it as it is. The problem is when you have this block, and for example, you want this block to be, I don't know, 20 units long or 25 units long. That becomes a little bit more tricky, because what you should do will be something that will take forever, because you have to open your calculator and you should do something like this. You should divide the dimension that you want, that is 25. You should divide it by the dimension that you have right now, so it is 1.9583, pressing enter. And this complex number should be the scaling factor that you should type when you use scale in 3ds Max. Look, you should select, click scale, click a point, and then you should type this very weird number. Let's try to remember it. No, don't remember anything. I just move into another screen. So the scaling factor should be 12.76174339989. You press enter after spending 3 hours of your life, and you make a bed that is exactly that length that you was expecting. Where is the problem of working in this way? So if you want to fit a certain dimension, that working like this will take forever, because you have to take one dimension, you have to, or even worse, because like your classmate said, if I go back, let's say I have a space that is from here to here. So I don't even know how much is the distance between these edges. What I want instead is I need to make the bed as long as the distance from here to here. So I want to fit it in this space. And I won't do the same thing that I've done before, because this will be even more complex. Look, because this dimension will be 5 point something, so I have to divide this by this. I will have a weird value, and no. So check this additional way to use scale. That is this. I simply make my block and I move it so that one edge at least starts from the reference that I have. Okay? So I want this bed to go from here to there. My next step will be I will use scale, but I will do this. Look, I select the bed, I click scale, and as a starting scaling point, I need to select a point that is also laying on my first reference. So let's say I will take from, I don't know, the midpoint here. And I can see that I can do this. But I will do something more interesting, that is, I will use a hidden option inside scale that is called reference. So what I will do is, instead of typing my scaling factor, so instead of typing a number, what I will do will be, I will right click and I will choose the option called reference. Okay? My reference means I want that the distance that is from here to here, so I click these 2 points, needs, and look what happens now, because if I move my mouse, I will scale my object by holding starting point where I selected my base scale, but my second point is my reference, and I can move it exactly where, poof, I want to snap it. So instead of using scale with a numeric field, with a numeric value, I use scale with a reference. And if you want to, I can make another example. Look, I can download another object from CAD A+. Let's see if I find something like I will show you. I will show you also this question. So go back to CAD A+. Why is it not working now? Because all of you are going to CAD A+ right now. So, no, that's okay. Let's work with what we have. Let's work with this one. So, first of all, someone says, what I did was I made my drawing in meter, added blocks, and later on selected wall drawing, and together increased the scale 100 and also changed the unit to millimeter. Is this method correct? No, this method is not correct at all, simply because if you make a drawing in meters and then you scale by 100, you don't obtain millimeters, you obtain centimeters. So you should have scaled by 1,000 and then changed units to millimeters. So let's reopen this. Okay. So your classmate instead asked this: what if I want not to scale the object, but I want to resize it so that it becomes, let's say, larger but not longer, or narrower but not also shorter? In that case, you can also manipulate objects, but first of all, you have to do this before making them as a block. So while you have all these available vertices, what you have to do is, instead of selecting scale, you have to select stretch. And the way it works is very simple. You click stretch first, then you make a selection window that will include only those vertices that you want to move. So look, I want to move these vertices together to change the width of this bed, and I make this green window that is including only those vertices without selecting, let's say, these other vertices. So I make this window while I'm stretching. I press spacebar when I'm done, and if I click first and then I move my mouse, I will stretch those vertices. So I make what is technically called a non-uniform scaling transformation. So what I'm doing is I am changing the width, or in this case the height, of the bed without changing the width. Okay, or I can make the same. I click stretch, select these vertices only, press spacebar, and then if I click and move, I will make my bed super long without changing the other dimension. Okay? Is this what you asked when you said, is there a way to resize a block without issuing scale? Because the answer is yes. It has to be exploded, because you have to do it when you are able to manage all vertices, and then you have to click stretch rather than scale. So I select only these middle vertices, press spacebar, and I can stretch them like this. When you stretch, you can also use dimension and have a numeric control on your stretch transformation. What it means, look, Let's close it and reopen it, and let's open it again because I want to be sure that it starts by having correct dimensions. So I can stretch. I click these vertices. I press spacebar, and from where I click, if I want to make this object, let's say 0.5 units long, I can simply move my mouse and I can type 0.5. So basically, whatever dimension my block has at the beginning, now it has become 0.5 units longer. Or if I do these and I stretch and I go from here to there and I type like 1.5, now no matter what was beginning dimension, now my block is 1.5 units shorter. Okay? It's the same for offsetting a block. It has to be exploded. Yes. Stretch and offset are tools that are not working on entire groups of objects, but they are working piece by piece. So they are tools that need to work directly on the shape rather than on the block. That is like having a lot of things grouped together. So of course yes, because even now if I use offset and I type 0.3, I can select more objects. I have also always to select one by one because each object will have a certain direction. So I have to select these and specify if I want to offset left or right, these if I want to offset left or right, and so on and so on. But it has to be made when the block is exploded, or if I want to change all my blocks together, I can select the block, edit the block in place, and then inside the block I can do whatever I want, but this will affect all similar blocks that I have already placed inside my project. Okay? Till here? One last question. I have the weird case where a block which is located on a layer using dashed lines and colors is not using those settings, while other blocks do. What could be the problem? No, that's too easy. That is too easy. Look, let's try by using this block that is made by your classmate. It is into furnishing layer, so it appears blue. I move it on another layer, let's say bathroom, and wait, we have same problem here. Look, I move it to the section lines that should become white and dashed, and it actually becomes only dashed, but it keeps remaining blue. That's weird. Look, I move it to stairs, and how lucky I am to find this mistake. Boom. So what's the problem here? The problem is simply that the block itself, I know, that's too fun, isn't it? This is why, in general, it's better for me not to check your final projects, because the more I check them, the more mistakes I find. Anyway, but we are here to learn, so it is good to see them. What I was saying is this. The problem is simply that the block itself must be created on the layer 0 first, and all objects that I turn into a block, they must all be set by layer into the layer 0. Then I create the block and I turn those shapes into a block. And after making this step, no matter where, I will move my block, only because it was starting from layer 0, then no matter where I place it, it will always acquire my next layer properties. So let's see. I select this block, I click explode. Now I have exploded. I click explode again, just in case. Perfect. And I can see that this is even more weird. That is, my objects were into the layer 0, but they were forced to keep the color blue. So it is even more weird. Instead, when you want to make a block, you need to be sure that you select all of your objects. They must be into the layer 0, and color, line weight, and line properties, all these parameters, they must be all by layer. Always. So now that these are all into the 0 and line color, line type, line weight are correctly set, that are managed by layer, now I will make these as a block and I will call it, let's say, fixed table. I click OK. Now look, wherever I place my block, it will always acquire line color, line type, line weight of the layer where I am placing it. So now it becomes blue and continuous, because into furnishings it will become white and dash dotted because it goes into section lines. It will be stairs dashed, so it becomes orange and dashed. And this is the only reason when the block attributes will never work. You said my nerds. Oh my god, your messages are so hilarious. I'm working on this stupid block for 2 hours to make it blue. I thought it was such a hack, fixing it and making it blue. So sorry. I'm so sorry if I destroy, I mean, when you're so proud of you, I'm so sorry. I don't do this on purpose, but we are here to learn how to correctly use the software, know how to hack things here and there. Okay, because believe it or not, if you start by making all these weird combinations, do you remember last week I've explained that you can freeze layers on viewports? So last week, as I was saying, we have seen that we can freeze layers on viewports. So if I want to make, let's say in my layout here, I will go to page setup manager first. I will modify it, and let's say I will make it as a PDF, so DWG to PDF. I will make it A3 horizontal. This must be always 1 to 1. If it is not, change it. This must be monochrome, and here I have to check display plot style and click OK. And I have my viewport, that is this one. So I can double click inside the viewport, I can zoom in, and I can double click outside, but I will start building my A3 page where I will have all my drawings. And only if you are really precise and if you place things into the right layer with the right color, with right everything, all those features that I've explained last week, they will work. For example, look, I can copy this viewport, and because I can see that now there are colors, I can double click inside and I have to type RE, that is regen, just to update the fact that AutoCAD has to show me how this is going to really look like when it's going to be printed. But another thing that I can do is, can you see that now I have, for example, twice same floor plan. I have ground floor for both views. Can you see? So what you can do only if you are using correctly layers and bilayer and all those other properties is that I can double click inside this viewport. I can open my layer menu, and for example I can say that I want furnishings frozen in the current viewport, or kitchen and kitchen cabinets frozen in here, and I will double click outside. Okay, I can show, you can see that the table is not gone, but why? Because by mistake I've left the table into the stairs. But in my model all these things are visible, so I will just place it back to the furnishings layer, and when I go to my layout, only because in this layout I have hidden my layer that is called furnishing, that object will look hidden. As well as maybe in this other viewport I can select, let's say, dimensions and I can freeze dimensions or section lines only in this particular viewport. Click outside, and I can have, by drawing once my floor plan, I can have different variations in terms of what I can see in my printed drawing by freezing, quite correctly freezing, layers viewport by viewport. Okay? And by doing this, look, I can notice something weird, that is what these two lines are, because they are parts of this furniture thing. By freezing this layer I can see that I still have these lines, what they are. So I go here and I discover that in this place there are things. There is one line that is into the layer 0, and there is one polyline that is into the layer walls Oh my gosh. So I will go here and I will click delete. I will go here and I will click delete. So I go back to my layout. Phew. And now everything looks fine. So here is visible furniture. Here, those weird lines are gone. Okay? The middle portion is a fireplace. And wait a second. The middle portion is a fireplace, and one each side are built-in bookshelves. So no, in that case, they are not in that case, they are not furniture, they are both on walls. So if this is a fireplace, and this is a fireplace, basically the fireplace has, because a fireplace can be made in wood, but it has to be like a structure like these. And at least these two parts, they should be walls, because if not, the fire will set the bookshelf on fire. No? Okay. So this must be a structural element. Then you can leave these visible parts, but at least you need to make sure that this is thick, not one line. Okay? So these should be like, with these match properties here, they should be like walls, for example. Okay? A portable one. Yeah, yes, like this. Okay, so the mystery of the fireplace has been solved. Let's say, okay. Zarina asks, okay, I lied. One more question. Sometimes when I do hatch, it goes through my blocks as well. Is it because the block is not probably closed? The answer is yes. And I will show you what to do. And let me also read another question that says, I have a quick question. If a section line cuts a furniture, do we need to show it in the section view? I answered already this question when I have explained sections, and the answer is, if you have a built-in furniture like this, or here, this is a built-in furniture, this is like a built-in wardrobe, okay, built-in closet, call it as you wish. So this in section, it correctly appears like a cut element. But if in here I have something like this, so let's say if I have a chair that is there, a chair is a movable furniture, is not a fixed one or a built-in one. So in that case, the place where you draw it is not because it has to be there all the times, because when people use chairs, they will move them. They will go here, they will go there, they will rotate. So you just place them to understand that there must be the space to use chairs. So when you have movable furnitures, you just need to make a choice and you have to choose. If you want, you draw them imagining that these furniture were on the same side of your section line. So sorry, like these. Or even if in floor plan the armchair is here, so if it's in the middle, you can choose. Or you think that the armchair is there, or you think that the armchair is here. So either you draw the elevation or you don't draw it at all, but for sure you don't draw it as cut object. So you have not to think what happens if I cut an armchair here, which part I will cut. I mean, because it would be insanely complex. Okay? And this is for Vishnavi as question. Is that clear as I answer? Let me see. And then I will answer to this other question, that is, what happens when you have blocks and the hatch goes crazy? Perfect. So now, you're welcome. So now, let's see this other problem. That is, sometimes, especially when you start having a lot of blocks inside your project, if you want to make hatch, AutoCAD, and it's probably here this is going to happen, but okay, then I will see this other question. So what happens is that sometimes the hatch goes crazy. Let's see if the hatch goes crazy here. Let me try. So I go to hatch layer. I try to place hatch in here. Oh, how unlucky I am. This works. Let's place it to another position. Ah, look here. Let's see. That is perfect as an example, because you can see that in some leaves I have the hatch inside, some leaves have not, and this is clearly because the hatch goes through these small gaps, okay? So in order to fix it, you should fix the block itself. Sometimes you can fix this issue by making the hatch, and somewhere there should be, exactly, by opening additional parameter into options, there should be this parameter called gap tolerance. Let's say I try, I'm just guessing, 25. So I make my hatch in here, and you can see that no, it is more than 25. Let's see if it works. So I go to hatch, I open additional options. Let's make it 150. Go here, cross your fingers. No, this really, it doesn't like that. No, this doesn't work. Unfortunately, there is a problem. There is, oh, wait. Let's make the hatch again. And I want to show this. Hatch. Doesn't even like it anymore. Hatch. Go back to gap tolerance, let's say 25. No. I have completely destroyed your classmate drawing. 0. Okay. So right now it is working. I'm so sorry, but sometimes it happens that even if my block is closed, sometimes it happens that hatch goes inside the block. if this happens, what you can do is you have to do this. First of all, you need to understand if the hatch needs really to go all around your blocks, and in general this is true. So what you could do before would be this. Look, you make one step that is a little bit complex, but this will always work. That is, in your area where you are going to add hatch, you start drawing lines that are dividing your room into smaller areas like this. And you draw these lines into the hatch layer as well. So now, why these will work? Because if I make a hatch, let's make it like this, let's make the scale 20 so it is more visible. But basically, by cutting these areas, AutoCAD has less points inside this area to manage. Then you can add these, then you can do these, then you can do these, then you can do that, then here, then here, then here. And you basically create your hatch into smaller chunks, into smaller pieces. Okay? By doing this, you can also review where the hatch may create problems. So, for example, it clearly shows you that this part of the sofa is not really liked by the hatch. So, what to do? And this will be something that is, how can I explain? It is a secret that probably me and the guy who has created the AutoCAD know. That is, inside this area, you can create a shape that is called boundary. To create boundary, look, you will never find it here. To make a boundary, you have to type first BO, and you make a boundary, so you press enter. You click pick points. You have to be sure that this is a polyline, so you click OK, and you pick inside this area. So what AutoCAD will create, and then you click spacebar. What AutoCAD will create is how it thinks that the geometry works in here. And you can see why the hatch goes inside those areas, because the boundary is also going inside the block. So let's make the block just with another layer, color, sorry. So you can see that my boundary went inside the block. So what I will do is I fix the boundary that is just a polyline, add vertex, and in complex situations, believe it or not, add vertex, there are no other shortcuts. Add vertex. Perfect. Now that I have this closed polyline that is my boundary, when I will put the hatch, I will place it here, boom, it will never go inside that object anymore. And my entire hatch process will work seamlessly. Can you see here? It is happening again. So to fix this, I should fix it the same way. And unfortunately, this happens only when you use blocks. But believe it or not, it is something that has no shortcuts. It is a very time-consuming process that requires precision and patience, a lot of patience. Okay? For example, boundary in general is also used for completely different tasks, because boundary simply create a closed polyline. But what is interesting is that when you have a closed polyline and you read properties of your closed polyline, one extremely important property is the area of that polyline. So if you are making a project and then your client will ask you, well, how many square meters, for example, this studio is? So now this is simple because it's rectangular, but if it has a more complex shape, and it has, because it has this kind of L-shaped thing, what you can do is you hide all unnecessary things. So you just keep your walls, oops, there, and in this case, into my hatch layer, I will just close this line, and this line. If I use boundary, so what is this? Plans, hide it. I click BO. I pick the point inside this spacebar, and I've made this closed polyline that perfectly matches the size of my room. And as I said before, if I now go and I read the properties of this polyline, I can see the length. And I don't know if you know how to calculate the cost of a project, but knowing the length of all walls on a room is extremely important to understand, for example, how much it will cost to paint that room, how much it will cost to add tiles in that room. But another thing is that you have the area of that room, and according to the units and numbers that you are typing, you need to take care, because let's see which units your classmate is using. So, okay, these are millimeters. So this area, this number, this huge number, let me rewrite it, that you see is a number that is 3. No, it is wait a second. Oh, let me just quickly open, close and reopen the pen application here. Okay, so I was saying, the number that you see here, that is, let's see now. Oh, finally, it is 3,702,000. This weird number is because your classmate is using millimeters. This number is square millimeters. That in general is a unit that no one uses in order to describe areas of rooms. For example, in metric system, areas are always defined by using square meters. And what you can see is that a millimeter is a 1,000 times smaller than meter. So if I have square millimeters and I want to tell my client how many square meters my room is, I have to divide by 1,000 by 1,000 because it is square millimeters. So I can say that this is a room that is 3.7 square meters big. Okay? Is that clear? As a additional options for you to know? Let me know. In the meantime, let me check again my email so that I see if there are other emails about AutoCAD class. Okay, let me read. So this is for Revit. Sorry. This is for 3ds Max. I have to read it later on. AutoCAD. I have a question about sections. So someone asks, I have a question about sections. While doing the floor plan, I didn't realize that some of the furniture I have used may not have the sectional view. So, is it okay if I use blocks that are looking similar? Technically, no. Technically, you should manually draw by hand how the furniture should look like, because it would be a little bit weird if your classmate is asking that she wasn't able to find a block, but this is a very lazy choice. That is, look, I wasn't able to find a block, let's say like this, that also has the view from the front. So your classmate is asking, is it fine if I use this for the top and I use something that will look similar for the elevation? The answer, so that this is a dimension and this will be another dimension, that this is a dimension and this will be another dimension. Technically, the answer is no. The answer is no. This is interior design. This is not copy-pasting blocks. So if you can't find a block that has its view in a section, you make it. So you project these points, so it will have the certain height from the ground, it will have a certain height from the seat, it will be curvy, it is like this, it will be like that, because you project it, so you can make it instead of using, just something that is similar. The answer is no, not at all. So you can make it, okay? And this is for all of you. Blocks are fine, blocks are legit, but your projects, trust me, they don't have to look just like a simple collections of downloaded blocks from CAD A+. That is not interior design. That is copy paste. Okay? Interior design is that you have to design your interior. And I know there's a very deep definition of interior design is that you have designed your interior. But for example, it is okay to use the sink in here. This is fine, but for example, just an example, not to fix this particular project, but for example, there are a lot of custom, more interesting solutions for bathroom sinks, no? So you're an interior designer. I mean, how sad it will look, this toilet here, for, in your opinion? If I have this toilet here, look, will it look sad or not, having just an empty room with this wasted space in here, that if this is a toilet, no, in here there will be water going down here, the dust will collect here, and having this white tap in here, I mean, that would be just super sad. Being interior designer means that you can do better. And for example, you could select these, delete it, and make, let's say, in here it looks like there is a sliding door. So for example, you can understand that this entire area is an area that can be used. So you can make a top here, and you can design it by yourself. You can make like a white marble top that has this curve that is also following the curve of the WC here, and you can make these like that. You can have, for example, that when I open the door, I can have a mirror in here, and I can have just change the color. I can have another mirror here. Oops, it's too thick. I can have my the sink can have this shape in here, can be more on the corner, then the water tap will be here, so that I have more space behind me when I wash my face, when I wash my hands. And I mean, that is interior design. So especially a mail like this, like I can find the block, can I use just something that looks similar? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm glad you're mentioning this. I wanted to build a vanity sink, but I didn't know if I have time to finish before the final, so the sink is a placeholder. You're right, that is really sad. You know, it reminds, I don't want to show you a picture because it would be very gross, but it reminds me those, there is a movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, that is called Train Spotting, where a guy goes in what was advertised like the worst toilet in the entire Scotland, and it is a terrible, very weird movie. It's not for everyone, but it looks like you enter in your bathroom and you see a toilet like this hanging, maybe, you know, even with a very sad plastic furniture. That is the one that has also the first aid kit, no? That is super sad. Train Spotting, exactly. what are the line weights for line, like they are very thin, like say cabinets, furniture in general has to be slightly thinner than doors. So if you make like you should make like 0.8 for walls, 0.4 for doors and windows, and let's say you will do like 0.2 for furniture, something like that. Okay, but you need really to explore more the possibility that you have to design your spaces, because if not, your projects, as I said, will be just a showcase, I mean, of cadaplus.com, where you just copy paste a block and then paste the block, copy paste, copy paste. I mean, it is possible, but let me tell you, it is pretty sad. Okay, so was clear, first of all, the message that I wanted to deliver? I've made the kitchen. I'm so proud of you. But I mean, you can do better. Perfect. So let me see if in my email there is some other message related to AutoCAD. Let's say so. This, first of all, no, this is for 3ds Max. This is for AutoCAD. Quick question, this is 3ds Max. This is, I don't know, this is perfect. No, I have no additional messages for AutoCAD. So let me know if you have additional questions, because I mean, we have these last 20 minutes to solve your problems. So if you want me to open some of your files, sorry, just a question about dimension lines. Whoa, that is fantastic also as a question. So basically, your classmates says this: let's hide furniture, kitchen cabinets, plants, bathroom. Okay, so let's have this kind of even section lines. Okay, let's have this kind of structural floor plan, where first of all these and these lines, they are wall, they are not doors. Thing number one. Second of all, your classmate says this: I want to make this dimension, and that is totally fine, but then I have to make my next dimension, let's say from here to here, and it is really complex to make your second dimension perfectly snap it to this one. It takes forever. Then you make another one from here to here, because if you go quickly, it is that you have a lot of chances to snap this point or another point like these, and it takes forever to catch right one. There is not even this one. Okay, so how to make a I mean, first of all, is this the problem? Have I understood that this is the problem or not? Let me check. Perfect. So, see this. In AutoCAD, and this requires a little bit of practice, but in AutoCAD, if you make one dimension first, oops, deleted too many things. If you make one dimension, and you have to do it also from one point to another, and I will show you what it means. So if I make this as a first dimension, look, from my left vertex, this till, and this will be till my right vertex, and then I place it here. So just to remember, this has been first. And why does it work? Okay. Again, let me close these. So annoying. Okay. So if this was your first vertex, and then you went from here to this as a second vertex, in AutoCAD you can use, by opening the options instead in dimension, you can see that you can use just other dimensions. There are not that many choices in here. Okay, there is dimensions, there is this one. I mean, it's not that interesting. While hidden here, look, first of all, can you see up here I have all this additional menu that says File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Tools, Draw, Dimensions. Can you see this menu in my interface? If you can't see this menu, you must click this triangle up here next to the name of AutoCAD. Okay? And by clicking here, you have to click this semi-last option that should be called Show Menu Bar. Okay? First of all, do this, and then just confirm that by clicking Show Menu Bar, in your AutoCAD, you will have this additional amount of menus up here. Okay? First of all, let me know if you have now this visible menu, and then I will move on. So I wait for a confirmation message like, yes, I have. Yes, yes, I have. Perfect. Let's see if someone else can't see it. Just 3 seconds more. Okay, if all of you can see this, look what you can do. You have made your first dimension line, as I said, from 1 to 2. Then you go to the menu up here that is called Dimensions, and you can use this beautiful tool that is called Continue. So if you click Continue after making one first dimension line, starting from the point that is your point number 2, you will, from here, you will continue in making dimension lines. So you will continue till this point, then you will keep doing click, 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 clack, click, 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 and then only when you are done you press spacebar to finish. And in this way you can have one starting dimension line and then keep measuring from the same alignment from that dimension. But this method requires a little bit of practice, because each time that you want to continue, you have to start by manually making a dimension. So I have manually to make, let's say, from here to here, and then I can go to dimension and click continue, and I can continue my dimensions and they will be perfectly aligned together. But if I make my first dimension with the wrong order in inserting points, so if I click from right to left or left to right, it is not the same thing, because continue works always from point number 2. So if by mistake I make this dimension, look, from right to left, and then I click continue, and I go all the way to this side, I will continue from this point here, that is my point number 2, okay? And I can't just say, no, come on, start from here. No, this is a fixed tool that starts always from second point that you have clicked in your dimension, and it continues your dimension line from there. Okay? Is that clear? Perfect. Fantastic. This is really cool, but as I said, it's a little bit tricky, because when you want to make a vertical one, first you make a dimension, and then you go here and you click continue, and then yes, and then it will continue from here. Perfect. Okay. And if you want, I mean, first of all, you create them all, and then you may say, you know what, I don't want these inside the wall. You can delete it afterward. If you don't want this, you can delete it afterward, but at least all those dimensions will be perfectly aligned together. My last question, and yes, this will be last question, is, will you keep the videos? My last question, will you keep the videos up on YouTube from last week's class? I would like to review it again. My videos are always online. I have no plans to remove them for now. I mean, I don't know when the semester finishes what what the secretary will choose, but for now all my videos are always kept online as far as I know. Let me check, but they are. So if I go in my channel and I go to video, oh, how many? AutoCAD templates, AutoCAD 1113, Thursday, May the 7th, templates layout is there. No, I have no plans on deleting videos for now. If you check, they are all there. So no, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so perfect. This will finish today's class so that you now have no more doubts in making your phenomenal presentation. Be so nice to upload your final works before next Thursday at 11, so that during next class, by having volunteers, I will open final projects. Maybe, I don't know if I will be able to open them all in the 2 hours, but if you are a volunteer and you will ask me, Marco, please open mine, okay, I will open projects and we will discuss about your final projects. Okay, thank you very much to you as well. It has been a pleasure as usual, and as I always say, have fun during this week, not too much, and finish your final projects that I will remember. They must be uploaded on your Google Drive folder. You don't have to send me by mail, okay? So that I will collect them into the same exact place, and I have not to go crazy finding some in my email, some in the Google Drive, some here, some there. Perfect. Bye everyone. See you next week.